night and we're all alone on this deep shipwreck. Now at night time this wreck is covered in big predators, but they're often pretty secretive and elusive. So in this video we're going to drop this camera down with some bait to see what's swimming around here when no one's around. Let's go.
The plan is to drop the camera in 3 different locations. Number 1, the shallow cave. Number 2, the sandy slope. And number 3, the deep drop-off, where the ocean plummets down into absolute nothingness. But with large waves, strong currents, and absolutely terrible visibility, finding the shipwreck in the darkness was not going to be easy.
I've got no idea where I'm going. This is crazy, the viz is so bad. Oh, I'm completely lost. I've lost my bearings. Oh, I can see the shipwreck. We found it, yes.
And thankfully, the shallow cave was close.
Oh yeah, I can see it. It's over here. Guys, we're in this big cave. There's all sorts of stuff around here.
During the day, these caves and overhangs are full of small reef predators, like soldierfish, sweepers, lionfish, and big morays. But at night, they venture out to hunt, and this cave was eerily vacant. If you've watched my previous baited camera videos, you might have noticed we've made some adaptations to the setup.
We've now got this epic bait cage made of galvanized steel mesh, so now the big titans won't be able to come in and chomp through this. That's the plan anyway.
We've also added a light mount to illuminate the scene, but in typical fashion, nothing ever goes according to plan.
Oh, this is a nightmare. The ball mounts come off.
A major unknown was whether the predators that patrol this reef would be disturbed by the light at night. And as we finalised the setup, I couldn't help but worry that there was a strong chance we'd record absolutely nothing. Only time would tell.
Right guys, we're good. Let's get out of here.
So, one of the spookiest things about diving on these wrecks at night is that you are almost always being followed. And shortly after leaving the camera, a dark shadow drifted past in the distance. Now, the problem with using lights at night is that they are absolute magnets for planktonic creatures that can make it impossible to film. However, plankton are prey, and where you have prey, you also have predators. This strange-looking fish is a trumpet fish. These predators often choose to hunt under the cover of darkness, making use of camouflage and quick bursts of speed to catch prey items that come close to the reef at night. However, there's no point in working hard if you don't have to, and this one made the most of the plankton that was swarming around the light. But much bigger predators patrol these caves at night, and they can be super sneaky. So this is a giant moray eel, and these guys can reach lengths of up to 3 meters and weigh over 30 kilograms. Now, they are formidable nocturnal hunters, but they don't have the best eyesight, and this one seemed a little unsure as to where his nose was taking him. Eventually, though, he found the bait in the bait cage. Moray eels are armed with some serious weaponry. They have something called a pharyngeal jaw, which is a second jaw located in their throat. When they strike, their frontal jaw holds the prey, whilst their second jaw shoots forwards, securing the prey with backward-facing teeth that it then retracts to pull its prey into its mouth. If one of these morays got hold of your finger, you would definitely not get it back. So, one of the only issues with this camera setup is its limited field of view. Big predators can easily sneak past in the shadows or sneak up from behind, but sometimes they give themselves away, either by kicking up the sand or by making some really strange noises. But if we're really lucky, sometimes their curiosity gets the better of them and they decide to come in for a closer look. This is a huge brown marbled grouper, and this wasn't the last time we'd see this one. The shallow cave drop had been a real success. Not only did the new baited camera system work perfectly, but it seemed, at least for now, that the light wasn't acting as a deterrent. However, I couldn't help but think there was more to be found deeper on the wreck. It was time to see what was patrolling the sandy slope.
Off comes GoPro A. It's still rolling. Hello! And on goes GoPro B. There's so much plankton around. Off comes the first light. It did pretty well actually, I'm quite surprised. Ah, it's covered in bugs. They're not inside though, that's good. On goes the second one. So now we're going to swim this bad boy down to a deeper spot.
But like before, we were being followed.
Whoa, big grouper! Oh dear, that is scary. Okay, that took a lot longer than expected, but let's get this set up. We've done it. Let's get out of here.
So the hope for the sandy slope was that we'd pick up some of the large predatory fish that like to hunt in the open.
Fingers crossed.
And like the first drop in the shallow cave, it wasn't long until something huge moved past in the distance. The plankton were also back in full force, and some of them were incredibly strange looking. But in amongst the hordes of plankton were a few small critters that I eventually worked out were tiny squid. However, we were here for the big stuff, and after a few distant approaches, the silvery fish we saw at the start of this drop eventually emerged out of the shadows. This is a massive blubberlip snapper. However, unlike a lot of other snapper species, the blubberlip is often solitary, although later on in the night he was followed back to the cage by another predatory snapper, the humpback snapper. These humpback snappers appear more silvery during the day due to the absence of visible red light in the deep ocean, but under the torchlight their vibrant red colour really stands out. Now, unlike the blubberlip, these smaller snappers are rarely alone, but this one was obviously very hungry and it didn't take him long to try and get a free meal. He was also incredibly persistent. It was great to tick off a couple more species on this drop, although it seemed the more interesting nocturnal predators were busy hunting in the shallows.
Big soldier fish, look at them. These guys are out hunting. Hello, Mr. Cornet Fish.
This is a big fimbriated moray eel. And unlike most morays, this one definitely did not want to retreat back into his hole.
Whoa! He's squaring up to me.
But like before, we were being followed.
Whoa, big grouper! Whoa, look at him go!
I also found one of my favourite nocturnal critters. Check out this broad club cuttlefish.
Is that a broad club? It's a very strange looking cuttlefish actually. Whoa, he just changed his colours.
But this one was hungry.
Whoa! He just tried to eat the cardinal fish!
But there was no time to be playing around with the small critters in the shallows because we had a camera to find. It's going to be really hard for us to find this camera. Fingers crossed we can do it. If we do find it, we're going to try and find a much deeper spot for the third and final drop, but it's already midnight and we're absolutely knackered, so yeah, it's not going to be easy.
I can't see anything, I've got no idea where I am. Oh, this is not a good position to be in, we need to find this spot quick.
However, by some stroke of luck, we eventually managed to find the camera on the sandy slope and move it down to the deep drop-off. You may have noticed that we put down some fresh bait on each of these drops just to make sure the scent is still strong. However, at this point in the night, we'd run out of the best bait and the best batteries, so after setting everything up and swimming off, I couldn't help but think that we hadn't done this spot justice. After all, this is where the big predators should be. As I watched this footage back, I wasn't super happy with how we'd set this up. Looking into the darkness, I was 100% sure that there were big predators lurking in the shadows, but the camera was so exposed that I was sure the sharks and rays would likely keep their distance. To make things even worse, the torchlight began to fade earlier than expected, making the shadows even darker. However, what happened next was quite interesting. As the light dipped, sudden flashes of red started to appear on the screen. These guys are soldierfish, a small to medium-sized reef predator, perfectly adapted to hunt at night using their absolutely humongous eyeballs. This proved an important point, which is that some reef creatures definitely don't like being dazzled by the light. Right guys, I have just nipped home and got some more batteries because we're going to try something a little bit different now. Watch this. We're going to try the red light. Given little red light actually reaches the ocean floor, many predators don't actually have the necessary photoreceptors to perceive red wavelengths properly. The plan was that by using red light, we could convince some of these nocturnal predators to come closer. However, this definitely was not going to be straightforward. I've never tried this before and had no idea whether we'd even have enough light to properly illuminate the scene. But the plan was simple. We were going to use 2 red lights and find a spot that was a little more concealed. This way, predators that use sight to hunt would have to get closer to investigate, rather than being able to spot the camera from a distance. We had just one more chance to make this work.
Fingers crossed!
So the red light definitely made a difference. A huge school of soldierfish immediately swarmed us as we swam off, and they seemed a lot more confident coming closer to the camera. as did a few monocle breams that seemed to spend most of the time sat underneath the bait cage. As before, it wasn't long before many dark shadows started to drift past in the distance. The big snappers became much more confident as time passed. A big blubberlip came in for a closer look on a couple of occasions, as did a big humpback snapper like the one we saw on drop 2. I believe we also recorded a one-spot snapper, although I can't be 100% sure given it kept its distance. We also got a visit from a very large grouper, but this one didn't hang around. Guys, if you've watched my previous baited camera videos, you'll know we've recorded some insane footage in this area. But there are still many more species on the hit list, and I'm still looking for that 5-meter hammerhead. We'll definitely be trying these night drops again, although next time we are going to go way deeper. Subscribe if you want to see what we find next.